Hi, this is Congressman Tom Cole for the 4th District of Oklahoma. This is another one of our regular congressional chats. This week has really been a week where most of the action, at least that I'm involved in, is not on the floor. It's not something you can see on C-SPAN. We're trying to make sure that the government doesn't shut down again on January 30th. The legislation that we passed in late November to reopen the government did a couple of important things. Took 3 bills and made them permanent or run all the way through September 30th. So that funded 3 areas of the government: agriculture, which also takes care of WIC, that's Women and Infant Children Program, and funding and support for those that don't have the means to support themselves. SNAP, the food stamp programs, those things are now in place and operational through September 30th of next year. We also passed, in addition to the agriculture bill, something called Ledge Branch, which makes sure that the Capitol itself, the staff, and much more importantly, security people that protect the Capitol and provide additional security for the Supreme Court and for the executive branch are fully funded through September 30th. And then we took care of our veterans funding for military construction over the next year at various facilities, but again, care of veterans. All that is now fully funded through September 30th of next year. But there's still 9 other appropriations bills to pass that deal with everything from transportation and housing to defense, which would be the big one, to biomedical research. I could give you a long list. State and foreign operations, which are funding our embassies and our operations overseas, or your ability to have a passport or a visa to travel internationally, those kind of things. Those things all run out. And the air traffic control funding is only through January 30th. So we're trying to put together packages of bills in cooperation with the Senate, because this has to pass both the House and the Senate, and with Democrats as well, because it takes 60 votes in the Senate. There's only 53 Republicans. And as I always say, to get 60 votes in the Senate, that usually means the House loses some conservative Republicans, and you have to pick up bipartisan support in both chambers. So it's a complex jigsaw puzzle to put all these different pieces together, get all these bills funded. And we're in pretty intense negotiations, again, with the Senate, with our colleagues on the other side of the aisle, to try and avoid another shutdown. So that's been my focus. I will tell you, we've had a good week. We have come to agreement with the Senate on the top line number for 5 of the remaining 9 bills. We're very close on one of the others. The remaining 3, which are big bills: defense, the so-called labor, health and human services, education bill, and energy and water. Those are still a little bit up in the air. They're much bigger bills. They're much more complex, and they're much more controversial. So coming to an agreement with the United States Senate and within both bodies with the Democrats that you need to pass these bills is complex, and feelings are pretty raw coming off a 43-day shutdown, but it's just important that get done. We know it's never a good thing to shut down the government of the United States. I've seen both parties do it. I've always been opposed to it. I've always said it doesn't work, and it doesn't. Nobody's ever achieved the objective they want. So that's been the focus of my activity, is getting these negotiations going again in both a bipartisan sense and in a bicameral sense. And then obviously you're working with the administration on that as well. I'll be meeting later today with the Chief of Staff of the President of the United States to talk to her about what does the administration need to be willing to sign these bills, and what are their objectives. And obviously I'm a Republican, I support the President. We're trying to be helpful, but it's not something that one party can do by itself. All the different parties have to pass it. You have to pass it through the House, you have to pass it through the Senate, and the President of the United States has to think it's worth signing these bills. So that's a complex set of variables and different interests and different views. And this is when you find out if government works. Can you put things together and deals together that can attract the support that you need in both parties and certainly from the administration? There's also a lot of action in the Senate that is unrelated to what we do in the House, but very important. The Senate's been dealing with nominations, that is, people the president has nominated for important positions. They require Senate approval, don't require House approval, and that number usually is 2/3 to approve an appointment. So they've changed the rules a little bit. They can now move these faster through the United States Senate, and I know they're busy doing a lot of nominations this week and the next 2 weeks before the end of the year and the Christmas break. They also are working over there on one of the things to reopen the government was to guarantee Democrats a vote on the extension of Obamacare health care premium subsidies. They're going to get that vote. It'll be up to them as to how they craft the legislation because they need to get 60 votes to be able to extend it, and there's only 47 Democrats. So this depends on them sitting down and negotiating with the Republicans on reforms and changes. Again, that action will begin first in the Senate. If the Senate does something, then it's likely the House might pick it up. But there are also independent efforts in both ways to say we don't want to just subsidize and extend these subsidies. We want to actually reform the programs. And there's billions of dollars of waste in them. There are a lot of people getting payments, whether illegal immigrants to the United States or people that are making $500,000 or $600,000 a year that clearly do not need subsidies. Massive fraud in the system. We have recently had a report. There was one Social Security number that was used on 125 different requests for these benefits. Obviously, one person can't be getting 125 different benefit checks, but it's happened. That number is being used. So there's a lot to work through and not a lot of time to work through it. My best instinct is the subsidies will probably disappear, and it'll take more time than we have between now and when those subsidies sunset December 31st to actually have a working program that both parties agree on. You have to remember the subsidies are part of Obamacare, and that's the problem. What was called the Affordable Care Act is anything but affordable. It was supposed to bring down the cost of health care. Instead, it's gone up over 80% since it was passed. You were supposed to be able to keep your doctor. You weren't able to keep your doctor. You were supposed to be able to keep your plan. You weren't able to keep your plan. It's a very defective system, but it's difficult for people to come to agreement on these things, particularly from a Republican standpoint, since they never supported Obamacare or the extension of the subsidies. So finding something that people think works and the two parties can agree on is an extraordinarily difficult thing. But as I said at the beginning, that's really not, I'll have a vote on that, whatever comes before the House. But the focus as Chairman of Appropriations is just to fund the regular operations of government. And that's honestly how I'll measure whether or not I'm successful or not, or my committee is successful. Can we keep the government open and operational? Make sure our military families get paid, make sure our air traffic controllers and their families get paid, make sure your meat inspectors that made it possible for you to have your turkey and not worry about it, that they get paid. Again, those people kept working without paychecks for 43 days. Make sure that our law enforcement, our border security people are taken care of as well. So there's a whole range of things that relate to government service and activity, some of which we took care of when we reopened the government, others of which we just said we're going to keep doing things until January 30th, and in that interim get things fixed. So with that, let me just close quickly and number one say I hope you had a wonderful Thanksgiving with your family. It was a good thing to make sure that the government was up and operational during that period, that flights could go on the way they normally do, and that families got taken care of. And I hope we're in the holiday season, very special season to many of our people that are profound Christians or Jews. This is a very holy season for them, and again, my best wishes are for you and your families. I hope you're safe. I hope you're secure. Hope you're happy, and I hope we can keep the government working on your behalf. And that's what I'm going to be spending my time on over the holidays. So good luck. God bless. I look forward to talking to you again soon.